it's your sis Aisha Rahman. Welcome back to my channel. I hope that you guys can hear me. I have not gone live in years. I think that my first YouTube video that I did was live, which was like, I think 2017, 2018. And it was actually me revealing my Ancestry results. So it was when I first started getting into genetic genealogy. And I don't think I've gone live since. So for today's video, I'm just gonna kind of share what I've been up to since I've been back from Sierra Leone, and what is next for me in terms of travel, genealogy, what I've been up to, things like that. So I believe probably in the beginning of this summer, I did a 90-day sprint where I basically just talked about what's next, what I'm working on, and I talked about building my personal brand as a genealogy librarian. So I'm gonna kind of talk a little bit about that. So I'm gonna talk about a lot of things today. So welcome to my channel. If you've never been here, my name is Aisha Rahman. I am a library science student, so I'm working on my master's degree in library science and information technology at San Jose State University. And of course, you guys know I take notes all the time. I've got my notes, so if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at, so that I know what I'm gonna talk about. So in my previous 90-day sprint, so I do a 90-day sprint basically every 3 months. I look at my bigger goals and I break them down into chunks. So I am in my second 90-day sprint as far as sharing here on YouTube. And so previously it was about building my personal brand, trying to put myself out there and being known as someone who can share information about genealogy, ancestry, heritage, travel. Now for this next 90 days, October, November, December, I want to focus on my content. So that is the bigger picture of my goal, is getting consistent with sharing content, getting consistent with the type of content that I am sharing. So all of my previous videos have been about Sierra Leone. My channel itself is not going to be about Sierra Leone because, as you can see, I'm not in Sierra Leone. I live in California, but I like to travel. So currently I'm at a lake house in California, a couple of miles from my house, or a couple of hours from my house. I like to travel. I like to do research. I like to read. So my channel is going to be a mix of travel, like I did to Sierra Leone, ancestry, genealogy, stuff like that. Let me see. So I haven't done live, so let me make sure that I can see the chat, because I see I have somebody in my chat. If I do not see the chat, I apologize. I do not know what I'm doing. So let's see, top chat. So I am on my phone. Forgive me, I do not. And so I guess I'm gonna have to figure this out. But I have my phone landscape mode, so I cannot see the chat, and I do not know how to fix that. Maybe I can do it here on because I have my iPad also. Maybe I'll bring up my channel so I can see the chat in here. But basically, for the next 90 days, I'm gonna be trying to really focus on my content. So all of my videos previously have been all about Sierra Leone. A lot of people are getting ready for their Sierra Leone citizenship trip in November. So I wanted to have my experience documented and have all of those videos up so that people have time to do their research, get all their stuff together, and preps for their trip to Sierra Leone. Let me bring up YouTube so I can see. It's very weird to be going live and not see the chat. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn the volume down on here and see if I can YouTube so I can see. There we go. So I got chat open now. Okay, so my content. If you guys have questions or concerns, or you have ideas, or you have videos that you would like for me to make, please put that in the comments below, because it will be very helpful. I want my channel to be very valuable. I want to share as much information as I can, but it needs to be with topics and things that you guys, of course, want to hear, things that you guys want to see, things that you want to learn. So since I've been back from Sierra Leone, I've been just trying to implement a lot of the things that I gained from my trip. So I've been making different foods. Some people ask me, am I making food from Sierra Leone? I've tried to make jollof rice. Before I went to Sierra Leone, I also went to Ghana. So after I went to Ghana, I tried to make jollof rice. I believe the jollof competition's coming up. It's be in Atlanta this year. That's coming up soon. So I've been trying to make jollof rice, not for the competition, but just so that I know how to make it. I can't make it. So it does not taste the same, not at all. So I've been trying to make jollof rice, crane, potato leaf stew. Those are some of my favorite foods that I got to try in Sierra Leone. So I've been doing that. I have a Creole tutor that I hired. So it's a Sierra Leone guy, or a guy that I met in Sierra Leone. He works at one of the, he like sells clothes and art and things like that. So when I was there, we exchanged WhatsApp numbers, and then he offered to teach me Creole. So I'm paying him like 20 bucks a month. And then he's teaching me Temni and Creole. But right now I'm like, Temni is very hard. Let's start with Creole. So Creole's been fairly easy. I did a previous video about the phrases that you can use to know some things that you can say when you go to Sierra Leone for Creole. It's very easy to understand and to read, but to formulate sentences has been a lot harder for me. So those are some of the things that I've been doing, working on my Creole. The other thing is, if you follow me on Instagram, if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, please follow me on Instagram. I am at Aisha Ladon, which is my name, same as my YouTube channel on Instagram. We did a fundraiser for Tasso Island. So I went to Sierra Leone. A lot of people don't realize that Bunce Island, which was where a lot of people were enslaved, actually started out at Tasso Island. So when the people came and, you know, they were enslaving people, they started out at Tasso Island, and then they moved to Bunce Island, and they continued to use Tasso Island to grow crops and to get fresh water. So I have a project with what we have developed called Tasso Collective, where we did a fundraiser, and we're working on various projects to help with the development of Tasso Island. So right now, there are, I believe, 3 main schools on Tasso Island for children ages probably 3, 4, 5 years old, like pre-K through high school. They had started school, they didn't have any desks, so we did a fundraiser as a group, which you've probably seen on my Instagram. Hey, greetings, yay, I see. Okay, so I do see the chat now that it's here. So I did a fundraiser on Instagram. Alhamdulillah, praise be to God. We raised, I believe it was $3,500 to build custom desks for the students on Tasso Island. So if you see pictures on there, I'm constantly, when I get updates of what's going on in Sierra Leone, I share them on Instagram. So Francis is kind of like a historian that's in Tasso Island, and he's leading it up for us. So when he updates us on what's going on, then I update everybody on Instagram. So you'll see pictures of all of the wood that we got, so that people know what I'm doing with the money that they donated. So now we are having them to begin to build the desks, and after they build the desks, then the students will have desks for school. School started September 5th, I believe. So I'll be sharing those pictures and the progress of how that is going with Tasso Island. So other projects we're going to be working on is Tasso does not have power. We're going to be working on solar projects. We're going to be working on fresh water wells, bathroom facilities. You're going next month. Yes. Make sure that you work on your Creole. It just makes the trip really fun. And then when you're bartering, people will appreciate, you know, when you go, that you're just speaking even just the smallest little bit of Creole. So, and it's a lot of fun. But yes, that's why I wanted to get that long series of videos going, is because I know people are going to go in November. So I was like, I want to make sure and I get all of these videos out, because I documented like everything that I could as possible. The other thing I've been doing since I've been back is a little bit of public speaking. So public speaking is something that I struggle with. I hyperventilate, I can't breathe, I get super nervous. But online, it's a lot easier. So I've started out online, basically just sharing about my experience with genealogy and ancestry, sharing my trip to Sierra Leone, sharing the fact that I was able to get citizenship, because that's not something that most of us are able to do. So I've been doing a little bit of public speaking online in different communities and sharing what that experience has been like. So that's been a lot of fun. Just getting excited, sharing about Sierra Leone in general, and sharing the fact that people are able to get their citizenship, because I believe that Sierra Leone is the only country in West Africa right now that is offering citizenship through DNA. So you can go to Liberia, you can go to Ghana, you can go to Nigeria, you can go to all these places, but they are not offering citizenship through DNA. So I know a couple people, like Dinah Samir was able to get his citizenship in Nigeria, but it was not necessarily through DNA. I think he just knew some people that knew some people, so he was able to get citizenship. And then the other thing is just doing research. I've been doing a lot of research on Tasso Island specifically, because my goal is, now that I know my maternal side has Temne and Mende ancestry, I want to know how. So I'm following my mother, her mother, her mother, her mother, as far as I can to figure out who in Sierra Leone am I related to and how. So I'm working on that research using tools like census records, Freedmen Bureau records, Dawes rolls. So I have some family that was in Oklahoma on my grandmother's side. Just trying to put the puzzle pieces together is, how do we get from Sierra Leone to Mississippi and Oklahoma to California? So just kind of putting all those puzzle pieces together and documenting it. So I'm taking notes. I'm going to start sharing it on my blog to kind of share the process to help other people if they want to do it for their own family as well. And then I'm in school. So I'm getting my master's degree in library science and information technology. Hopefully soon I will be working or at least have an internship so that I can get experience. I'm debating going back and forth between working at a university or working at the archives or working at like a historical society versus having a job that's remote so I can continue to travel and create content, because that's what I really love and I'm passionate about. So trying to just mix it all together. So I really want to do like archival reparations. We have a lot of records that have not been archived properly that we don't have access to, that are hard to find. So like a lot of the Freedmen records are now on microfilm, but we don't have access to them. So having people who are archival, people that are working in that area, will be able to make those things more accessible. So just working in that area is probably most likely what I'm gonna do. And I might have to give up being able to work remotely so that I can be physically there with those archives and doing things like that. I don't think I'll be able to do both with the archives and working remotely. The other thing is that I wanted to share currently what I'm going to be reading. So I have my to be read list that I'm working on, is just different books that I'm reading right now that I wanted to share. So I will put the link in the description. I have a subscription to Scribd. It's an ebook reader because I like to travel, so I don't have to bring my books with me. They're all on either my phone or my tablet or my laptop. So the books that I'm currently reading is Transgenerational Trauma, Breaking the Chains of Transgenerational Trauma, My Journey from Surviving to Thriving. So that's a really good book. A lot of people talk about post-traumatic stress disorder and the similarity of that with post-traumatic slavery disorder. And I believe that a lot of the issues and things that we suffer from as a people is from that, and just transgenerational trauma, just passing down that trauma from generation to generation. So I'm reading that. My PhD is actually in transpersonal psychology, so I just want to be able to share information and share resources as much as possible, because I know that transpersonal counseling helped me personally. So I think it's very good for people to look in depth into those things within themselves and figure out why they have certain habits or certain thoughts and beliefs that they do and where they come from. I'm also reading Understanding Sierra Leone's Development, or not also reading, but these are on my list of books I'm going to be reading in the next 3 months. I am also going to be reading A Guide to Researching African American Ancestry, Ancestry Family History and Address Book, Writing Your Family History, Reflections on Sierra Leone by a former senior police officer. So a lot of the books that I'm reading, ECOWAS and the Dynamics of Conflict and Peace Building, Guinea-Bissau's Political Struggle. So I also have Ancestry in Guinea-Bissau as well as Librarian. So my goal is really to just get as much information as I can about the culture and the history of where my ancestral roots are, because I don't want to be talking and not understand what's going on. So knowing about them and then visiting those places, doing as much research as I can, and kind of embedding that culture that was stolen from us into my own life and my own history. So really just kind of reconnecting to what was lost and stolen, whether it be history, food, culture, art, music, books. So I'll eventually start learning Portuguese. I have Fulani roots, so learning Fula. So those are pretty much the things that I am working on now. Memories of the Slave Trade. Yes, there's so many books on this to be read list. There's also history of the Negro race in America from 1619 to 1880. One thing that my husband was telling me about was, I was telling him, you know, there's the verse in the Bible where it says that we've been cursed. And I was asking him, does he believe that's true? Does he believe that interpretation, that understanding of it? And what he was saying is, at a time, somebody's always going to be on top. There was a time that we were on top. The thing is, we aren't taught our history is what was our history before we were enslaved? What was our history before colonization? So I need information like that as well. Finding books and reading about that, because there was a time where we were on top, and he was like, we're not a cursed people. And he doesn't believe in that, that ideology that was given to us. He's like, you know, before colonization, before other people were in our business, we were on top. But he was also saying, you know, everybody has their time. You know, we're Muslim and we're taught everybody has their time. We believe, you know, in the last days, some things are inevitable. Some things are going to happen. We have free will, but some things are just, they're going to happen. But he was just saying, you know, our history did not begin with slavery. Our history did not begin with colonization. And the further and further back that we go, the better we are able to understand and know our true selves. So that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to jump on here. I don't want to keep this video too long. It seems to be about 15 minutes. My goal is to have a new video up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've been encouraged to go live. I just don't know what else to make videos about yet, now that I'm not traveling anymore. So if you guys have suggestions or you have questions, let me know. I want to create videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays and also have a live like this. I'm looking forward to speaking to elders, people 80 years plus. Yeah. So I have two uncles. I believe they're around 75, 80, and they're the oldest members of my family right now. The struggle that I'm finding is one of them talks and the other one doesn't. So one's on my dad's side. My mom's family's from New Orleans. They're Creole. They're very not, like, he's willing to take DNA tests for me, but they don't like to openly talk about things. So I'm learning there's a lot of skeletons in my family's closet. A lot of, especially as people get older, they're like, well, it's been this long. You know, they're not as open to talk about it. So what I do is I find information and then I ask them about specific questions, like, what do you know about this? Or what do you remember about that? But just, and maybe that's something I can do on a next video, is sharing some interview questions that we can ask when we are interviewing our elders. And, you know, we are an oral people. So our history has traditionally been passed down orally. We don't always write things down. So maybe sharing some questions that we can ask to get the answers that we're looking for. But what I find is a lot of them, they don't want to tell us the answers, or they don't remember. Or, you know, they'll remember things inaccurately. So since I was little, my grandma used to always say, oh, we're Cherokee Indian. Well, based on the Dawes rolls and the documentation of my great-great-grandmother, we're not Cherokee, we're Choctaw. So she kind of had it right, but didn't have it right. So that's the other thing, is just having the skills and the information, as well as, you know, the skills to research, knowing the questions that we need to answer, and how to verify the information that our elders are giving us. So that's a really great topic. So that's something I can do. Definitely is create a video on interviewing our elders, questions that we can ask them, what to do when they don't want to answer the questions that we have. So that's a really, really great and important topic to touch on. All right, guys, that's it. Life is good. Have a blessed day, and I will try to see you guys again live on Thursday. So Thursday, I'll be going home. So I'm at the lake now. Thursday, I'll be traveling. So Thursday, I will see you guys with another video. Assalamu alaikum.